I mean, there are people that's killing it, making a lot of money, but money doesn't make them happy. Then, hey, you go use money and settle your problem, right?
Bah, bah, bah. Wake up, Singapore. This is your daily Ketchup.
Boom.
Okay, everybody, so recently there have been a few Reddit threads that have been going viral, right? And I think it's a bit sad because they all kind of have the same theme of like people feeling very jaded with life or feeling like there's no meaning to life in Singapore. So I think one of the more popular ones, which Wake Up SG has also posted about, right, is this person asking, what is the meaning of life in fast-paced Singapore for you? So he talks about how he had an older colleague, 65-year-old, about to retire by the end of the year, right? That shared with her that like, at this age, right, you realize that life actually has no meaning. You wake up, go to work, yell at your boss, tolerate colleagues, earn just enough to pay bills and support your family, and then once or twice a year go overseas for short bursts of happiness, but come back and everything is back to the routine. So then after that, you stress about house, stress about car, stress about marriage, stress about kids. And then at the end of it, right, you realize that you spend your whole life chasing something, and when you reach 65, it's too late. Your entire life has just went by and you have missed it.
But isn't that life?
What?
And it took this guy quite a while to figure it out.
Hey, bastard. This guy going through a tough times, yeah.
But is that not? He have kids, he work to pay for this, pay for that, all kind of those experiences. Then that's life already, ma. Like,
but I think at the end of it, he wondered whether that was truly what he wanted. You know what I mean? Because you just go along with the flow as like in Singapore, right?
I think not just that, right? I think it's like the fact that it feels very templatized. It feels like everyone has this template life as opposed to like doing something that is completely different. Like just going to Australia and build a farm, for example, or like all these different things like where people feel like, oh,
Which the Australians are feeling like, oh my god, it's such a
That's our
template life.
yeah, I wish I had kids and a house and cars and
I
all
was
that.
thinking like, is that not just like a romanticized of version of like what a carefree life looks like? But what about y'all? Do y'all think that life is passing you by? Given that we're averaging maybe 30.
You bring the average down, lah.
I feel like it's quite relatable because right, I think there are periods of my life, right, where I just like I don't really have a goal or anything like that, and then I just end up like I sit at home, I watch YouTube videos, then I just it's 3 a.m. I better sleep, and then I wake up tomorrow and I do the same thing again, and then there's
so
no
late,
Oh, that sounds like retirement.
yeah, but it's weird, man.
Sorry, which period of your life was this?
Yesterday.
Was that
2 days ago.
after
Last night.
employment?
No lah. Like I think even like there was a point when I was working here where I experienced that for a bit or so. Yeah, there was like just nothing. I felt very lost. Like everything that I think I want to do, I go and look online, right? Then it's already done, and then like, oh, it's not really much. Then I just like, okay lor, then there's no point pursuing that. Then I just give up on that. And I also struggle with this, right? Which is, I mean, it's a luxury to have this problem, but there are too many choices, and then after that, then I get paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. Is that what it is?
Yeah, like choice paralysis.
Yeah, because of so much, right, that I just end up not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But does that not go down to kind of like why, which I think it relates to the post, like why you are doing certain things? Because in a sense, like if something has been done or you feel like there's not much to it, if you had a stronger why, you would have overcame that one. You know what I mean?
A stronger why?
Like, why do you want to do this?
Like, one of the reasons, like, when I feel whether or not I want to have kids, right? Like when I was deliberating with Pam or whether we want to have kids, right? I grew up on this mindset that things are cliche for a reason, right? I don't deviate from, let's not go on Valentine's Day. I mean, even if the Valentine's Day price hike, we cannot get a booking, we'll do it before or after Valentine's Day. Like, but you gotta celebrate Valentine's Day. Like, you gotta buy the roses and the flowers, and you can be extra, and then your flowers are from Africa, you know, and they look like birds and shit. But it's like, but I always believe cliche is a reason. Like, things are cliche or the way they are for hundreds or if not at least tens of years for a very good reason, one. And I've lived my life like that. I tried my best in school, didn't do too well in secondary school and all that stuff. But I went to uni, then I got a job, then I worked my way up the corporate ladder, then I try and start a company, then I propose to my wife as soon as I'm able, then I get married as soon as able, I buy a house, like a BTO, like every Singaporean as soon as able, you know? And life has worked out for me in that sense. You know, like I don't feel a crazy empty void, like for the most part.
But
until the decision of whether I want to have kids. And this is where I will deviate from, like, my life has been no deviation one. It has always been a standard life. And this is where I will change. And you're making the decisions, and because maybe in the line of doing what I do, I'm damn good at bullshitting people and bullshitting myself. Right? So like I can mind myself for better or for worse lah. Most of the time, you might myself to be more energetic, get things done, right? But then there are other times that you just kind of justify your reasons and all that stuff. And I always feel like perhaps human beings always need to have someone you love more than yourself. And that will anchor your reason for living. And for some people, they are lucky to find it in their partner alone, and their partner's lifespan and their lifespan match. But for some, you have that, you decide not to have kids. I go first or Pat go first. And then there will be no one that I will love more than myself. I mean, besides my mom perhaps, and my mom will probably go before me.
Yep.
And then that will be me at that 65-year-old man thinking, actually even money could be meaningless. Yeah, like time and freedom could also, like even traveling could be meaningless.
Okay, everybody, midlife crisis. I mean, not crisis. But we will crisis if you don't like, share, and subscribe. Okay, back to the episode where we continue talking about sad lives.
But I think at the end of the day, like what John said, right, it's about mind yourself into what that decision is, because I think like what he's basically saying, right, is really just a mindset thing.
Yeah.
You can either be content with what you have, or you can always feel like grass is greener on the other side, or like, oh, that person's life is so much better. And what, like, I think for the longest time I've always been stuck between like two things, right? One is that I'm naturally very lazy, so I'm always very happy where I am, but then I'm also very ambitious in bursts. So like there's some stuff, like some nights where I just wanna, wow, I wanna do this, I want to rich, I want to achieve this and all this thing. I'm like, okay, how do I like reconcile the two together? Because then the next night I'll just be like, life is good, what? I'm perfectly fine where I am. Like I'm not gonna be super rich. I know super like friends who are gonna be like maybe 5 times richer than me or whatever. But I'm happy with the effort level that I'm putting in right now. So then like I'm always being like stuck between that, because one night I can be discontent in my life, and another night I can be perfectly like fine. And I think it's really just mind yourself as to realizing what is it that you want to be happy with, lor. If you just want to be happy where you are, you can mind yourself to be happy exactly where it is. And if you want to be ambitious, then you can also mind yourself to just put in the effort to go and pursue those things, lor.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the same position as you in terms of headspace, right? And life, the way I see it, is that it's just a series of choices that you're making, right? But the choices when it comes down to embarking on like a new adventure or whatever, right, is you either embark and experience or you don't. And then what if you don't, then what happens, right? If it's another adventure that you choose to embark on, then sure, right? But if you keep on like either choose to embark on an adventure or just choose not to, then you end up in that slum, which is like something that I feel like this guy might be referring to. Is that he just never took on those activities or those experiences.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to this guy, right, actually my dad has kind of shared a similar sentiment with me. Not so much that like, not as extreme, but the part where like he feel like his life has passed him by. So like because of the necessity of life, right, like he has just been working his entire life. He's only like every year long, right, he don't take off day one. So his only off day is Chinese New Year. Then Monday to Sunday he's working, and then it's like morning to night lah. So growing up, right, I never really saw him at home until like something happened, like we got some financial crisis at home, right? Then he lost his shop and all that. So now he's working a normal like day job. So now that he can actually see me more, he has 2 off days in a week, right? But then I'm at the age where I'm going out, I'm meeting friends, I have my own life, I have my own work and all that, right? And then I think that he has shared the sentiment with me that it feels like he has missed the entire part of me growing up. Like he didn't get to enjoy that having kids, or like the money that he earned for the house, right? He never really got to enjoy it, you know what I mean? Then now that he kind of wants to connect with me, he realized he has almost missed that window. Yeah, so then I think like it might be in a sense a generational thing, but then we are kind of experiencing the opposite of that. So back then it's like no choice, need to work for survival, you need to be doing this. Then you don't, right, whatever is the next logical step, you just take it, lor. So at the end of it, it's very likely that you feel like.
But in this kind of lives, right, is where I think you find the most happiness. I feel like when you live month to month, right? I mean, I'm not encouraging it, but there was a period of my life where I lived month to month. And payday was a day. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, payday, I can pay my bills, can bring my girlfriend out. But now it's just the highs are harder to come by. But because we are privileged. And I think many people straddle with this trade-off, right? If had your dad not worked 7 days a week, day to night, he couldn't have provided for you. Or at least that could be what he was thinking. And he needed to work so that you could be you. But then he would have missed every part of it. So going back to Andrew Tate, right?
We
My
found a
dad
way.
and Andrew Tate.
No, I mean, okay, sorry. This was said by
Sakguru.
no, it's a
the soil,
comedian.
right?
It was a comedian, but it's not Kevin Hart, and it's not.
Burr.
I don't know. It's Chris Rock maybe. Denise, what do you want?
Give me an S.
S.
Give me a tag.
Tag.
Give me a DEVELOPERCONFERENCE. Tech Developer Conference, Singapore's largest government-led tech conference connecting government, industry, and tech communities is coming back.
Tech Developer Conference organized by GovTech is coming back.
That's right. From 15 to 16 November 2022, you'll get to learn from leading tech experts and network with tech peers from all around the world. And you'll get to do this right here in person at Suntec City Convention Centre and online. Tell me more! What's more is that key industry experts from Microsoft, Google, Amazon Web Services, and we'll be sharing on topics such as cloud technology, datafication, and smart cities.
Sign me up!
Good news! TDK listeners can now use our promo code TDK20 to get up to 20% off regular in-person tickets.
Tech Developer Conference!
Let's start from
Listen, you're my hero. Okay, I just want you to know that. Yeah, I think it was Chris Rock, and he said that the only things that get unconditional love are women, children, and dogs.
Yeah.
Then men are judged by their ability to provide. And if you cannot provide, then you just cannot be loved.
Kevin Hart.
This used to be true.
I remember.
I think it's
this.
Chris Rock.
I recently, I just watched, because I don't watch movies on full length much anymore. Like, I watched a 10-minute summary of things, right?
You very busy,
As in, it's just life. I just don't
Just
need
ADHD lah.
to. I don't need to waste 2 hours on a shitty show. You know
She
what I mean?
watches Netflix on like 2 times speed or like 4 times speed sometimes.
There's no 4 times. Anyway, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Yeah.
which is one of the Supreme Court justices in the US, she just died. But she was, I think, the only she was the first female to be appointed, and then like she is like the
Liberal.
forerunner of like women's rights. So then
very
they
progressive.
actually talk about how one of the very first cases that she handled, right, was because of a guy who couldn't get tax deductions as he was getting like sued by the state, right, because he say he's the mom's caretaker. But back then, because caretaker must be women, so they said that he cannot be a caretaker. But then she kind of say, right, that as time progresses, women have been able to step into the role of both being a caretaker and a successful like business like person lah. But men have not been able to make the switch. They cannot straddle both boats yet. Yeah, which
They are
was
not
quite
allowed to,
interesting.
or they are unable to.
They just can't do it as well as women can.
Right.
Like straddle both.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, the whole context of this conversation, right? I feel like it's the struggle for I think a lot of people today is I don't know what. Even though I have the ability to do whatever I want, I don't know where to find fulfillment, where to find happiness, where to find purpose.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the opposite. Like for the older generation, it's the logical next step. But for us, it's the opposite because we have so many choices to do, so many things to do, right? That we don't know what we want. Like a lot of 20-year-olds, if you ask them, right, they don't know what they want to do, ma.
I agree. Like right now, the way how jobs look like is so different. You could be a content creator. Like you could like not like us where we are working in a company and creating content, right? Like there are people who are just starting a TikTok channel and they get millions of followers and suddenly boom, they're a job, or they can be a gamer. They like all these different things. But I also feel like there's a lot of things that I wish I could be doing. I know I'm not fully seeing the downsides. For example, like I would love to be a digital nomad, but the amount that you earn in YouTube revenue would be just nice to like pay for that expenses for that month.
Right.
So then if you suddenly lose your job or whatever, or like injured or whatever, and you can't create content, right? It's like you have no savings, you have no nothing. But I would love that lifestyle, lor.
I think that's once again a very, very privileged conversation to be had.
Yeah.
I think many people cannot change job because no one will hire them, because they are too old, because they don't have the right expertise, because they don't know the right people, and they have to do their job where they don't find happiness. And it's not like, I mean, there are people that's killing it, making a lot of money, but money doesn't make them happy. Then, hey, you go use money and settle your problem, right? For a great majority of people, I don't think it's like that. And I think even for this might be a job that y'all cannot afford to quit, for example, because you might not, like whatever skills that you have had might not be as valued in another company. If you go there and you try and be a photographer, then you are amateur photographer. Over here you hate your content strategy, but how many companies need hate your content strategy, right? If not, unless you go to like Lululemon, for example, and then hate your content strategy is actually their Instagrammer. And it's like, do you want to go there and do TikToks for them, you know? And I think that's different, and we are speaking from privilege and for 20-year-olds, for example, that feel lost with their life and not sure what to do. And I feel like this is normal. I think this happens in every generation. But I feel like previous generation, they struggle with, if I do this, I probably do this for the rest of my life. Do I want to do this for the rest of my life? This generation doesn't struggle with that. Because hopping around is normal, right?
Yeah.
Skill switcher.
This generation struggles with, there are so many options.
Yeah.
And there are some options that seemingly so fun, like go and be a pro gamer. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if we had that distraction, maybe all of us try and be pro gamer. Like a time in US, in Compton, where all the blacks just want to be rappers, and you have people like Dr. Dre and kind of tell them and say, you will not make it as a rapper, stay in school, go and get a job, and stuff like that, right? And where I straddle with is, sometimes contentment is not just for you. For some people, they have to work hours on end and days on end, right? Just to be able to provide for their family, and not provide well, just to be able to provide sufficiently for their family. And they are not happy. And if they want contentment, then what does that look like? They can take an even lower paying job. But is that better for them? Because perhaps if they are like me, they feel like they are letting their family down. Then can you find contentment in that zone or not? Because I don't think, like personally, I don't think I can. Like if I tell Pat like, hey, I think I'm done. Let's both go and get 3K jobs, right? Yeah. To me, maybe I'm contented, but I feel like that was not what I advertised when I was peacocking trying to win Pat.
Right.
Not that she's with me for whatever money right? But I feel like it's contentment for self, whether in that job, and people link it to their job because that's what they spend most of their time doing, right? But it's outside of that, right? It's what you do with that money that you earn. And for some people, it's just, there's just no time to be able to spend that money meaningfully because all their time is spent at the job, or they need this job to be able to meaningfully spend that one Saturday with their family.
Yeah.
In which if they work any less, right, that one Saturday with their family will become less also, because it's just full of your children asking for things that you cannot give. Then it's that contentment.
But I think like what John is kind of describing is not really contentment. It sounds like you don't have everything you want. But contentment feels like even when you don't have that, right?
You're still unhappy.
You're still happy.
Unsatisfied. Oh,
Yeah,
like contentment lah. Yeah.
But for yourself lah.
Like what does contentment look like?
Yeah, like sometimes you feel like you're providing just enough for your family, right? But for you, right, you are living in absolute hell, providing just enough for your family. I think that's for many people,
I agree.
because hell is
I agree.
relative lah.
Yeah.
I think it's also like he talks about, I mean, it sounds like as though he's got it all right. Like he had a house, he had the kids, he had a decent job and all. I think it's more of like whether or not he actually wanted kids, and then he never got a chance to like contemplate those decisions because he just went through the motions, just do what everyone else is doing, right? Again, like the template life.
Yeah.
And I think it's really just like being very sure of your decision. It's so hard to know beyond hindsight. I don't know how can you be more sure of a decision in the present than in hindsight, you know. And I feel like I struggle with a lot of that. Like I've had opportunities along the way to like do other things that I think I know I would hate, like corporate life, go into finance, go into like investment banking or what. But I know like I don't want to work 12 hours a day for what?
But you work 12 hours a day. Okay, anyway.
or like I no lah. But like I don't want to be like working till like 2 a.m. and then go to sleep and then wake up at 7 a.m. and then go and start whole thing again. Even though like it will give me like what 15k, 20k a month, that kind of thing. Like where's that trade-off, right? So that was a decision I made early on in my life. And then as I'm 30 and go, actually doing what you love, does that really matter? Money more shock, I know. And then go, did I make the wrong decision? But then I know that had I gone that other path, I would have completely thought the same thing again. Should I just have
grass is greener?
Yeah, lor. And then so that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
No, I feel like like for me, right, I think comparison was a very dangerous game that I've been playing for a very long period of my time. Like comparison and looking at what life should look like, right? I mean, I don't think I followed that in several aspects of my life, right? I don't think I followed that. So it may look like, oh, okay, I'm doing my own thing, I'm comfortable with all that, right? But actually, there are a lot of things that I will constantly compare with other people and think like, is it just like, for example, like settling down and like doing some basic shit, right? Is that like, will that actually make me happy? I keep questioning that and I don't know. And then recently, right, like even with regards to like my like relationships, right, I started to realize that I was setting up, like putting up walls or
Like
giving
romantic
myself,
relationships
No, even with like
okay.
friendships or whatever, right? I was putting up walls and giving myself rules to follow, and I didn't know why. Because the reason why that I figured it out, right, was that I kept thinking that this is what is normal. This is how.
What's
it
an
should
example of
be.
like a rule?
So like there are certain relationships or friendships that I have, right, that I keep thinking that like I need to follow the normal way to make friends or the normal way to have maintain a relationship or friendship or whatever. And then that forced me to kind of not be myself. But recently, right, I kind of made like this little switch, right? Kind of turning on like a bit of a yes man mode and also removing some of these rules for myself, right? And opening myself up to several opportunities that have always been in my life. I just never said yes to them. And I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna try. And within that switch, right, in like a matter of like 2 weeks, right, so like many things have happened for me, right, that have all turned out positive. As I experienced these things, right, I realized that this is me. Like I felt more like myself.
Such as what?
Then ever, it's something I cannot share on camera for now. But I've never felt this way, and it's. No, I'm not in a relationship. Relax. Yeah. Why are you talking? Why?
It sounds like you're going to come out.
No. No, but even that I question.
Right. Yeah.
You see? And he's like, should I just open myself up to all these kind of things and then just see where it takes me?
Yeah.
And then experience. Then like I have friends who advise me to be careful, to do all this kind of thing. And yes, I take necessary precautions as much as possible, of course, to try and make sure that there's no danger or whatever, right?
Wow, I really need some context.
But at the same time,
like
what is life without risk?
Right.
Yeah, and it's those experiences, be it whether there's a risk of failure or whatever, right, that you come out and then you later look back, like all the stories you share, right? There was definitely risk involved. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you come out, you have a story to share, and that story is your life.
How did that change your view of comparison though?
Because I kept thinking that I compare other people, then that is what normal people do.
Yeah.
This is what normal people do. This is what normal people
The
do.
right way.
This is what normal people wear. This is what normal people say, eat, behave. All these are rules that are like, huh? Why do I need
Why
to follow
are you
this shit?
so abnormal?
Like when I say I don't like chicken rice and people call me kabu, then I keep thinking to myself like, do I need to like chicken rice because I'm Singaporean?
Okay, what they say.
That is the most shallow example. Yeah.
Or like your dungaree.
I think like or like
Come
the
on,
dress
come
that
on,
he has
Eddie.
at
I don't
home.
like sitting next to him.
But I feel like I struggle with like a slightly different version of comparisons. Okay, so in JC, a lot of the people that are in my peripherals, right, they come from very, very wealthy backgrounds. Or they are very, very smart, like they go study doctor, all this kind of stuff. I think I got like 4 friends go be doctor already. So then after that, like I always think like, oh shit, like they're earning the big bucks, right? And then I didn't come, I mean, I'm clearly not low income, but I didn't come from the most well-to-do
Family.
The company is not the most well.
Yeah, and so I always felt like I wanted to like, I also want to hustle, like, you know, and like for a greater part of my I'm still in my early 20s, but for like the past two years, I would say like I really was chasing that. Like everything that came into my life, I say yes because I was comparing to like my friends who were having this money and like I see their life is like they're enjoying.
Yeah,
and which I feel is the more generic version of comparison lah. But then after that, it came to a point, right, where I was just doing so much, right? I really hit that like burnout phase, and then like I felt like, what's the point of everything? Then I think that's kind of when I took a step back, and then I look at like the friends that I'm closest to, like my clique of like 4, right? Then 4 others. Then after that, like I'm thinking like actually they don't chase money or they're not like hustling or grinding like I do, right? But it feels like actually at the end of the day, right, we are all the same age, but it feels like contentment wise, right, they have overtaken me. Then I'm wondering like, where have I gone wrong in this? You know what I mean? Because this is what I thought I wanted. Yeah. So then for the past, like I think 6 months or so, right, I stopped taking like freelance work at all. Then like I really tried to rest, right, during my rest time. Then I think I had to like learn how to not do something.
Yeah.
Right? Like I last night I constantly feel like I'm not doing anything, I'm not being productive, like I'm losing money, all this kind of stuff. And then I felt like, then all my friends are like earning all these amounts of money also similar to you, right? Yeah, so I feel like I really had to take that step back, right? And relook at like what does healthy comparison
I want to
look
say
like.
that the company pays okay, right? They're just asking for a lot.
Do you feel happier though?
I do. I feel happier. Like, I feel like so recently.
No, that's why, right? You know, when we talk about you wanting to take that freelance gig, right? And I say it's completely up to you, but I want to tell you what I'm worried about. That's one of the things that I told you about, right? That when you feel tired, when you feel like drained, and you feel unrested, you're not gonna blame it on your part-time gig. Because your part-time gig or per hour is probably more. Yeah, and you're gonna blame it on your job. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you don't quit a gig to focus on. You did, which is a weird one, right? Most people come to the realization that they will quit their job.
Right.
Yeah, and that was my fear, not so much
Right.
having the talent go out.
I also think it happens in waves. Like maybe now that's what you need. Then
Yeah.
after that, then maybe the next part, right, is you, or the next wave is that you need to go and take on something else. You know, you need to do more or whatever.
I do feel like I'm kind of there now. Like my next wave is kind of picking up. Like I'm wondering like what are the things that I want to pursue. So in a very similar way, right? Like what are things that I really want to focus on? Like I feel like I've taken that step back and like re-evaluated almost, right? And then like look at what like healthy comparison looks like. Yeah, like I don't think comparison is bad. I just think it's the way you, how to say, like you're actionable after that. Yeah, or if you're just thinking like what, like life is just never gonna be like that for me, lor. Like we have such a big difference or whatever. Like I have to work 10 steps, to go your one step. Yeah, but I feel like looking at what healthy comparison looks like, right, which is for me like what are other things aside from money, right, that they are also working on that I can also work on, or like even when it comes to money, like how are they looking at money, right? That is different from how I'm looking at money. And then like, how can I learn from that? Yeah, so that's the actionable, the learning from that, and not the beating myself down or like the feeling like I have to overcompensate. Yeah, so I feel like that's the difference. And like, I did realize that I was happier because recently, right, my church had an event, like they invite like overseas speakers to come in and speak. Then after that, the first night, right, I was like super excited. But then the message that he preached, right, is like, if you are sad, if you feel like you don't belong, it's like very generic. Like he anyhow say 500 people will relate kind, that like you're just beaten down in life, nobody likes you, you're like a way maker in here or whatever lah. Then I felt like, but actually I don't feel that way. I think like that's like one of the first times that I registered that actually I'm happy in my job. I feel like I'm excited for like the projects that we want to do. Then I think my relationship with my family is also improving. Yeah, so then it feels like and when it comes to money, I feel like I'm becoming more like satisfied in my life also, right? So then I'm wondering like what's in my season now? Like what am I doing? Yeah, then I felt that's why I kind of realized that actually I'm happier now. Yeah, back then it always felt like this.
Yeah,
like I'm chasing something.
Live. What you should now do, right, is live. Stop chasing the next climb, because you're gonna go to the end and realize you didn't live.
Yeah.
Like these guys.
You are making the amount that I make when I was very, very old in life. Go and live, right? Because you're doing well. You are doing your job well. You are progressing.
Yeah.
And I think many people after that, you go and chase the next thing, and you will never be given the amount of money until you have that mindset to hold that kind of money.
Yeah.
When it's given to you without that mindset, you will lose it in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year.
No, but I feel like that's what the step back for me was like. Like I didn't know what living meant for me. Yeah, I didn't know what it looked like to be fully enjoying the things that I'm doing and the relationships that I'm building. Yeah, so I think now I have a different perception of that law.
I think the other thing for me also, like quite similar to what you meant, like but for me it's about separating interest and source of income. I think for the longest time I always wanted to marry the two. To me it's like my job had to be something that I want to
and you'll never
pursue.
work a day in your life.
Yeah, but then like no lah, cannot lah, So to
Not
me
possible.
it's like, okay, if work is work, right, then I can actually pursue all these different things I want to do in my free time. Like so I'm actually in a stage right now where I'm trying to pick up new skills for the first time. So like I actually am going to finally learn Chinese. Finally.
New skill.
I found a guy.
skill.
Chinese
It's a
man
skill.
make me angry, yeah.
I found a guy in Beijing who can teach me over call.
普通话.
Don't know, he was recommended by a friend, and I know like he's a Malaysian like me also, my friend. Cannot speak at all, right? And within 3 years, right, he speaks fluent. He reads
Wait, 3
Chinese.
years?
3 years, so the 3 months.
But like he reads Chinese newspaper, he speaks with a complete China
Why you
accent.
read Chinese newspaper?
Wow,
Yeah.
Chinese newspaper.
And like
is-
not just newspaper, like
that's elite really.
like he reads. So he's in the crypto world, right? And he reads like crypto financial news all in Chinese.
I can't
Right,
read it in English.
He's mad and he's like damn fast. So like I'm doing
the
that,
best.
picking up new sports. Spoke about it before already lah, but like suddenly learning like tennis and things
tennis.
like that. Yeah, like never thought I would do it again. But like I'm just trying to fill my days with things that I want to do without the pressure of it being a revenue stream for me.
Yeah. So you see, right, the funny, like my mind straight away went to, but wouldn't technology catch up with us in like 3 to 5 years to the point where we don't actually need to fully learn a new language, and that like there will be auto translation, there will be interpretation, all this kind of thing that will maybe even be in real time already.
But
by
the
then.
beauty of language.
No, it's the beauty of. But then immediately when I reframe, right, it's the beauty of that experience that you're going to go through, right? And being able to actually learn a new language. I think we've talked about this before, right? It actually helps you to see the world or perceive the world differently.
You
also.
think differently, yeah, exactly.
Because they have different terms for different things. The language itself is a reflection of their culture. and the things that they appreciate and whatnot, also, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But goddamn, yeah.
Speaking of languages, right? Don't you find it fascinating how in almost every single language, right, the word for mother all starts with M, whether it's from China or from like Latinized languages or whatever. They're all ma or mama or mother, no matter where.
I thought you were gonna say
type out any
pineapple.
language that the mother don't start with M.
I thought you were gonna say pineapple is all ananas, except in the British decided not to.
Okay, no. So, but the reason for the M sound is because it's the first sound that a baby makes.
Wait, so they naturally cannot say papa first.
Yeah, it's harder to do in terms of a baby's like muscular movement.
Okay, so to kind of like wrap the episode up, right? I think it's quite interesting that this original poster actually made an edit after the post went viral on Wake Up Singapore.
Oh.
So he actually said, right, that with the exposure comes varying experiences and insights thanks to those who contributed positively, but there have been people that are negating the experiences of others. So I think on whatever social media platform lah, like it's very easy for people to just comment like, hey, just don't compare people lah, bro, it's okay one, or like you just need to like be more grateful for what you have. So like
good intentions badly worded lah.
Yeah, just be more grateful about life, lols. That's what he says. So like this is precisely why Singaporeans are afraid to speak up regarding their struggles, because it gets so negated.
Yeah.
Like people just feel like, oh, you're privileged, or oh, like you're just not grateful enough, or.
But I feel like the commenters are well intended.
Well-meaning.
They have good intention. They're basically just saying, hey, it's okay, just be grateful in your life. Like, what is the response to someone just sharing about their life though online?
Just be grateful can have two terms depending how you read it lah.
Like just saying like he sounds like he's saying that he's in
fair enough, but I don't know what appropriate response.
But here's a reminder though, like many of us compare upwards, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Especially as students, right? That is, especially in Singapore, that's what your teachers drill into your head. You don't compare yourself with the ones that are not doing well. You compare yourself with the number ones and number twos in your school. And if not in your school, then in Singapore. Then if not in Singapore, it's in the world. And that keeps us progressing as a country and as a people. But I think in your adult life, that's where you realize you look around you in your circle, and then you figure out, you rank your privilege within your circle, right? Then you realize that you actually have more to give than you are hoping to receive. I always think her life damn hard. Then I always audit her life. Then I'm like,
okay,
is it though?
But I guess that's where ambition comes from, right? The dissatisfaction. I think you just need to reach an age where you have to go, okay, I have to be satisfied with where I am right now.
Pat has reached her hustle stage. I've never seen her hustle this hard.
Oh.
She has reached a stage of peak contentment as well.
Wow.
Every time we go to church.
Wait, that's such a change from like the last time we spoke to her. Like what caused it?
I think a new job, and then passion in her side hustles, and I think meeting the right people. And I think what helps also is that people reach out to her to let her know that they look up to her, and she feels like it's a life worth living because you are a model to something, right? Not always for the best of reasons, like could be a blog article about her surgery experience and that gave people strength.
But this gives you like little crumbs of purpose also lah.
Yeah,
and it's great.
Like something to live for. Like if you don't have people reinforcing your morals might start decaying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're not gonna let anyone down by not being a gentleman, you'll probably stop becoming a gentleman. You gotta have people to disappoint to be a good person, I think. It starts with your mom lah.
Good thing I have my mom, yeah.
It really starts with your mom.
It really does.
And that's why I always feel like I'm some kind of guy, I need a partner. Right? But even your partner, you might outlive your partner, then you need a child.
Right.
Yeah. Then hopefully your child outlives you, then you always have someone to make proud. And for people like me, I think if I don't have that, then
guys,
I will go lost.
So live for external validation.
No, but actually
That is the key takeaway.
This conversation actually has probably changed how I'm going to approach life, which is that because it is going to be actually I probably always knew it, but like it helped me solidify
Just give
it,
me
right?
the credit lah.
Which is that I think it's completely okay to be dissatisfied until a certain age, because that's how that's where ambition is born. But then tell yourself that okay, by 40, no matter where you are, no matter what you are, you gotta for yourself to be content. And I think that's what I'm going to tell myself.
I did not expect this to be the takeaway.
Sorry, I don't want any part of that.
So from today until 40, or when in your 20s until like 40 or 30 or whatever that age you want to be, just hustle and be dissatisfied with life, because I think that drives your ambition.
What about the people who just choose to settle?
Completely fine.
If that's what they want, then go ahead.
Age.
I always feel slightly envious of people that don't need more in life or don't want more in life. They don't want hustle, then they're okay. and then you realize that if they accidentally get pregnant, if they get into an accident and whatnot, right, then they are wiped so far off from where they are.
But that doesn't make them unhappy, right? You know what I mean?
No lah, there'll be like a million other sources of unhappiness or like unable to feed your children.
Or a million what ifs.
Or they might themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I think it really
No,
goes
you
down
see,
to mindset.
those people usually are not.
Yeah lah. So
Yeah.
they should lah. They should be lah.
No, they should.
You need to give a course on how to yourself.
Yeah.
I think you will create a lot more happiness in the world. Like really.
It's the same one as sales lah, guys. Go and learn how to do sales. Like in your 20s, right here, advice. Go and learn how to sell things.
Then sell it to yourself.
You can
You
bullshit it.
can sell yourself
Yeah.
to other people. You can sell shit to yourself.
Sell your life.
You do it well enough, you start a religion.
Oh, that's true. Thank you for watching. We hope that you have related to some of our experiences and that it has somehow helped you in your journey as well. Comment down below what you're going through right now and let's see whether we can help each other as well.
Yeah, we'll just tell you to be grateful.
Yeah. Lols. See you in the next episode. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye. Dan, do you think you struggle with contentment?
I do.
On
Okay.
that note, I need to pee again.
Okay. Guess who's in the toilet?
Who else? Yeah. It's his third time already today.